in the cards template, you can create a carousel of grid of cards to visualize blocks of content. The cards are one of my favorite templates that we have. So it's perfect for displaying blocks of content with descriptions and more information. So as you can see here, you can include images and have filters on each of them. There's different customization options, including different card layout options, view modes, and you can even use customizable HTML if that's something that you are known how to do, if you know how to code. And we also have the option where you can add interactive features such as collapsible descriptions and hover descriptions. I've included links here where you can go to our help docs just to see how to do that. But if you are into coding or would like to kind of have a bit of a go at coding, this could be a really useful template to begin with. So I will head over to the cards template. So this is one that I've created previously. To go to the just to show you how you would get to the cards template, you would press the new visualization, scroll down, and then you will see the cards here. And it's really useful because it already has 3 starting points with a carousel, a grid, and a profile. So you can kind of pick which one would be most useful, but don't feel then that if you created a grid and you wanted to go to a carousel, you would be able to just change that. So I will show you now how to do that. So to input your data, you can upload your data here just by clicking that and then choosing your spreadsheet CSV file, double clicking it, and then it will upload into your data sheet. So I'll just quickly show you here. I'm just going to drag and drop it as well, which is another option. So you can drag it. You'll probably want to overwrite the current sheet just because all of our templates have starting points, which you've probably noticed. So you'll just want to kind of overwrite that with your new data that you want. So I'm going to upload this. And now we have our data in here. Obviously, it's exactly the same, so it doesn't look much different. And then we're going to bind our columns to the relevant column binding. So we want our title to be in the A column. Well, we don't need to. So if our title was in C, we could enter that there and it would change within the preview. That's how you can know whether you're doing everything right. You can just look in this little preview option and you can see if the changes you're making are accurate. So my title column is A, so I'm going to enter A. We've also uploaded images. To upload images into Flourish, you can right click on a cell and you can press upload file, and then you can choose a file from your documents. Alternatively, you can have a link online. So for example, I've used links in this case. So if I click on here, that's just from Wikipedia or Wikimedia, sorry. And that's essentially just pulling that in because it hasn't got a password barrier or any kind of security blocking access to that image. Flourish can just pull that in and display it on our cards. But if I was to save the image, I'll just quickly save it here. I'll just quickly show you how you would upload it. So I will upload file, go into my downloads, and it will then upload that into there. So that is now from our documents onto Flourish. You can then add categories as well onto your cards template. So for example, on mine, I added, because we're looking at the 10 best treks in the world. I'm not a hiker at all. I just find it very interesting. I added where each of the hikes were located in continent kind of ways. And so with the region, I wanted to categorize by that. So then when we click on the cards, we can see which hike is where, kind of just makes it a bit easier for a viewer. I also added a subtitle in, which is where the hike actually is, and you can see that pulling through in this section here. And finally, I added some additional text into my template, and that is just the number of days it takes to walk each hike. Very, very long, but I can also add an additional one here. So I could also add when they're open as well, and I will pop that open there as when they are open, the hikes, trails. So you can have multiple columns in that one. Additionally, if you do have kind of a project where audio would be necessary, you can also add audio files. So similar to how I uploaded this image, you would add a new column. So I've just right clicked there and I'm going to insert a column to the left, audio, and then I would just upload file once again by right clicking, then finding my audio file and double clicking on that and then popping that in there. And then I would bind that column to the audio column. So going back to our preview editor now, we can see that all of that has entered the data where we want it. As I mentioned before, if you did choose, for example, the grid starting point, you don't have to worry because you can change them very easily just in this view section here in the cards template settings panel. So I'm going to keep it as a carousel, but you can change between them, and then you can also change the kind of carousel row, whether it has the pause button, how that displays, the duration of the autoplay, whether it loops, all sort of things like that. Additionally, so you can have, we have different card layouts, so you can choose it as a portrait. So we have the image above the text instead, and then additionally you can change that whether you want the title above it, and the title and subtitle, many different options, and you can also have it landscape, which can be really useful if you want to kind of, you have longer images. I'm going to keep it as an image overlay for now. You can also change the width of your cards. So if I wanted to make them a bit bigger, it'll make it like that. And it also adjusts the height as well while you do it. So they don't look really odd when you change the width. You can also add padding on there as well. So I could like add 3 and it will make the padding a bit bigger at the top, stuff like that. I'm going to pop that back to 0. Additional styling and margin options here. Where the customizable card comes in is in this section here. So if you are familiar with coding, this will look kind of normal. If you're not, don't worry. I've just literally yesterday did a webinar on the advanced cards, and I kind of break it down a lot easier. Because it can be quite daunting. Like when I started Flourish, I was so overwhelmed by this. I was like, what do I do? So I have got a webinar that we did yesterday, and it was recorded, and I have the slides, so I can include that in a follow-up email for you if you are interested in really kind of getting into the nitty-gritty and designing these cards how you like. You can then change the text within the text option. I think I just made the title a bit bigger and the subtitles and stuff like that. And you can also change like the position of them, so you can put them at the top or the bottom, stuff like that. The image, you can change like the aspect ratio, so you can fill it a bit more if you wanted to. I'm just going to keep it back. Oh, not 125, a bit much. There we go, I'll keep it at 1.25. A border, you can also have the option to have a blend mode. So this is usually off. So this is how the images would usually pop up. So I clicked on the advanced, and I then wanted to kind of add like an overlay of the images just so it kind of blends and you can see the text a bit more. You can have normal, lighten, you can do all things like that. I'm going to keep it as overlay for now. The colours, this is where the palette comes from. So as I mentioned, if you click on one of these, it will show where each of the hikes are, which in continent they are in. And this can be really useful, and kind of if you had a large data set, people would be able to see where each continent, where each hike was in which continent. And the way we have these coloured is with the card, we have it set to data. It's the image, sorry. So because we're using an image, obviously, we have each of the images pulling in those colours. So if we turn that off, and we can also add a fixed colour. So if we wanted all of them to appear the same, we could make it like a red, but I want to keep it with the data because we have that category, and I think it just works really nicely with that. We also then just have all the other standard settings that you see in all of our other templates. So we have like the legend, and you can disable and click and change that. The layout, I just changed the font and the background colours, stuff like that.